Today we'll be going through the handout Lecture 7, Fundamentals of 2D Construction, Part A, which is available on Canvas. We are going to cover different types of commands and we're going to follow and go step by step through this tutorial. Here I have AutoCAD open. I'm going to go ahead and create a new file. So I'm going to go to the application menu, new. I'm gonna select the AutoCAD template, open, and then I'm gonna go ahead and save my file. Save as, drawing. I'm gonna go to the home directory, engineer drawing online. I'm gonna save it as Rickstro lecture 7A. Save. Okay, so today we're gonna cover 7 commands. After going through our setup, we are gonna start with the line command. There's different ways of how to access the command. I can go to the home ribbon to the draw panel here, and I can select line, and that will start the command for the line. And as you guys can see, AutoCAD is asking me to specify the first point. So I'm gonna click whatever I want. And now I can specify the next point. So I can keep clicking around, and when I'm done with the line command, I'll press escape on my keyboard. Another way to access the line command is by typing line and enter. Now I access the line command. Again, I can click everywhere I want, and then when I'm done, I will escape from my keyboard. Another way to access the line command is just by typing L and then enter. That's the fastest way to access it. And now I can, again, specify first point, next point, or escape. I want us to pay attention to this command box here. So every time I access a command, this box will tell me exactly the next steps that I should take. So I'm gonna go L, enter. So now here it's asking me for this case to specify first point, and then to specify the next point, or undo or escape. So as you guys notice, we've created a lot of lines with some type of angle. There's another command called ortho mode that will allow me to create straight lines. So this is very helpful when I'm trying to create a horizontal or vertical line. I can access the ortho mode by going down here and clicking on and off this one, or I can also access it with my keyboard by pressing F8. And then in our command box, it will tell us if ortho is on and off. So now I have it on, and if I try to create a line, click my first point. Now, as you guys can see, I can only create lines horizontally or vertically. So I can create lines with different types of lengths just by clicking point at random, or I can create lines with a specific dimensions. So for this, I'm gonna go to our first activity is from the tutorial that consists on drawing that guide plate. So I'm gonna move down here a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the first activity, which is to draw this guide plate. And as you guys can see on the handout, we have the dimensions of every line. So since we only have vertical and horizontal straight lines, I'm gonna leave my ortho mode on. I'm gonna start the line command by pressing L, enter, and I'm gonna click anywhere to start the first line. On step number 5, I have the specific distance that you should type on the board, on the keyboard, in order to create the shape, but you can also follow the shape of the guide plate and then create the final object. So I'm gonna start here, I'm gonna go up a total distance of 1.75. So in order to go up, I will move my cursor up, then type 1.75, enter. Then I'm gonna go to the left, 1.5, gonna go down 3.5, to the right 6, up 1, to the left 1.5, up 1.5, to the right 1.5, up 1, then to the right 2.75, 2.5, sorry, and then I can just turn F8 off, and then I can just connect these 2 points here by clicking this endpoint, and now I'll escape. In order to create lines with different type of angles, we can use dynamic input to tell AutoCAD the length and the angle of that line. So I'm gonna go to our next activity to draw the object with all those angles and diagonals that we have. I'm gonna go here. Before we start with the angles, we need to set up AutoCAD in a way that it understands that we are giving it a length and an angle. In order to do that, I'm gonna go down here, these 3 lines, and I'm gonna click here, and I'm gonna make sure the dynamic input is checked. After that, I want to make sure to turn on the polar tracking for the coordinates. So I can do this by pressing F10 on the keyboard, and as you guys can see down here, now it says polar on. So I want to make sure that polar is on, and then I just want to confirm the angles and the directions base. So for that, I'm going to type angular, so ANG, and then base, enter, and I'm going to make sure that it's equal to 0. This will make sure, or a line with a 0-degree angle is completely horizontal. Now I'm gonna type ANGDIR for direction, so angular direction, and I'm gonna make sure that it's also set up to 0. This will tell AutoCAD that everything counterclockwise will be positive. So we start from the horizontal, and then the angle starts increasing counterclockwise. You also want to make sure that ortho is off. So now it's on, off, because you do want to create those lines with those diagonals and with those angles. So in order to use dynamic input here, I want to start the line command. I'm gonna specify a first point, and now I'm gonna press on my keyboard Shift 2 or Alt, and now I have 2 boxes that show up. The first box will ask me for the length of the line, and the second one will ask me for the angle. So by following the activity, I already gave you the length and the angle of every line. So if we keep scrolling down, step number 2 tells me that the line AB has a length of 5 and an angle of 0. So here in this first box, I'm gonna type 5, and then instead of pressing enter, I'm gonna press tab to change to the next box, and then I'm gonna tell which angle do I want. In this case, this was my first line, and this is completely flat, so I'm gonna give it a angle of 0. Then I'm gonna keep following the steps on the handout to create the rest of the lines. So I'm gonna go Shift 2 or add. The next length is 3.8376. Then tab, and the angle is 79.9. Enter. Next one, Shift 2, distance 1.5403. Tab, 165.83, enter. Then I think I'm gonna skip since I don't have the length of that next segment. What I did is just going in this direction and then going clockwise, and then I will just close it at the end. So I'm gonna start my line command again, L, click here, and now I'm gonna keep going with step number 6 for line AH. So shift 2, and then the length is 3.0881, tab 111.69, enter. Now shift 2, 2 point, no, that's not it, 1.7713. You can tab, or you can also just press the less symbol. And then the angle here was 38.31, enter. Next one, shift 2, 2.3679, tab 312.42, enter. The next one, shift 2, 3.4361, tab 63.95. After being here, I can just click the endpoint and then escape, and then I have my second shape with the angles. Something that is very important to mention is AutoCAD. So we told AutoCAD that the horizontal starts at 0 and then the angle starts increasing counterclockwise. So the angle that you are inputting to AutoCAD has to be this interior angle between those two lines. So sometimes we have the opposite angle, so we have to do some geometry in order to calculate that interior angle. Okay, so the next command that we're gonna cover today is the circle command, and there's different ways to do a circle, to create a circle. We can create a circle with the radius, with diameter, with different points, and we're gonna go through most of them. So in our home tab, in the draw panel, we have the circle. If I click this drop down menu, I have all the options on how to create that circle. So if we want to create a circle with a known radius, so I click center, I can specify the center point of the circle, so I can click anywhere I want, and then I can just type the length of that radius. So in our handout, we have a radius of 2. So I'm gonna type 2, enter, and now I have a circle with a radius of 2. If I want to create the circle with the diameter, I can go to the drop down menu, I can select diameter, can click whatever I want, and now I can input the diameter. In our in-class activity, on our handout, we have a diameter of 8. So 8, enter, and now I have a circle with a diameter of 8. I can also access the circle command by typing circle or just C, enter. Can specify the first point, and now just need to make sure what they're asking of me. So in this case, they're asking for the radius. If I want to give it the diameter, I can type D, enter, and now I change that to the diameter. So now I can input the diameter of the circle. In this case, I want 1, and then enter. I can also create a circle by clicking or defining 2 points. So if I go to a drop down menu, select the 2 points option, I can click the first point and then I can specify the second endpoint, and then I just created a circle by clicking 2 random points. I can do exactly the same with 3 points. So drop down menu, 3 point, and then specify first point. If you guys notice, AutoCAD in this same box here or down here in the command box, it tells me what it wants me to do. So it's asking me to specify center point for circle 1. Now it's asking me to specify second point on circle, and now it's asking to specify the third point. So now I create a circle with three different points. I can also create a circle using radius option. That will let me create a circle that is tangent to two lines with a specific radius. So if I go to a drop down menu and select tangent radius, so now it's asking me to specify the point on object for the first tangent of circle. So I can select this line, so I can click this line, then I can click the second line that I want my circle to be tangent, and then I can specify the radius of the circle. So in this case, we can do 1.5, enter, and now, as you guys notice, created a circle tangent to this line and this line with a radius of 1.5. The next command that I want to cover today is how to create rectangles. We can create rectangle just by creating a set of lines, or we can also create rectangles with the draw command. So if I go to my draw ribbon and I select rectangle, so I have two options that have the rectangle and the polygon. We cover the polygon later, but for the rectangle now I can create a rectangle with random lengths, so by specifying first corner and then by specifying the other corner. I can also create a rectangle by giving it the dimensions, the specific dimensions that I want. So I can go and open the rectangle command by clicking on the draw ribbon, where I can type REC, enter. I'm gonna specify the first corner point, so I'm gonna click whatever I want, and then I have to type D for dimensions, just to tell AutoCAD that I want to input the specific dimensions. The first dimension is the length of the rectangle, as we can see in the command box. So the length for our handout is 8, and then the width is 3. And now it will ask you in which direction you want that rectangle. So you can go here, move your cursor, and then click, and you have your rectangle here.